Delver, a little splash of green for Abrupt Decay on the board for Geary.
Nothing too fancy here.
Stuff we've seen before,
yeah,
that's for sure.
There's only one Abrupt Decay that appears in Justin Geary's sideboard.
A light touch.
Just a light touch.
A sprinkle. Looks like it's time to fire off an Abrupt Decay from Greg Muller. Take care of that Deathrite Shaman. Greg with a Deathrite of his own. Just going to pass the turn back. And Geary going to untap. He'll take a draw. You see he's up a game. Both these players sitting at 5-1. Going to play Underground Sea and a True Name Nemesis. The Fun Police is here.
It's a good spot. It's good. Greg's hand just a Stifle and a Numza's Jitte. Not equipped to handle this card currently.
If you've come to have fun, you have come to the wrong place.
Well, someone's got to win the game and someone's got to lose the game. That's just the way it is.
Well, you're not wrong about that. That's for sure. Misty Rainforest going to get sacrificed here from Muller. His hand is very, very weak right now. And his deck is also pretty weak to the old True Name Nemesis. He does have 2 copies of Liliana the Veil pre-board. Taking a look at the sideboard, what he can do.
Gary Charms.
Yeah. Bug decks is pretty stock now for bug decks.
Yeah. Very versatile. Good answer to True Name Nemesis among other cards.
Doesn't have it right now. Got to find it. And we'll see if Muller can do that. Again, his hand Stifle him as Jitte in a land. Big draw coming. Hey, we saw one top deck. And one good top deck deserves another? Is that true?
If Greg top decks here, all that happens is the game is allowed to proceed.
Yeah.
As opposed to Tyler Wilkerson's top deck, which was game over.
You will lose. Greg Muller, untap those lands. Take a draw, my friend. That's a Tarmogoyf. It's a really expensive card that can't block True Name Nemesis.
Well, the Tarmogoyf may prevent Justin from attacking with the True Name Nemesis, so that's at least something.
That's true. Especially if that thing grabs hold of a Numza's Jitte.
Yeah.
Might be time to slow way down.
And if there's a staring contest, it's pretty good for Greg. You know, he gets to activate his Deathrite Shaman and deal some damage. And maybe if he finds a second Tarmogoyf, he can actually start attacking.
We're going to sacrifice Blue to Delta. Going to go searching for a land here. We'll see which one he wants to get. Got a Singleton Trop, 4 Underground Seas. A couple copies of Bayou as well. It looks like he's going to go for the Trop with the Delta. It looks like he wants to deploy that Jitte and then have a Stifle at the ready.
I wonder if that playing the Jitte here is better than just leaving up Deathrite Shaman to activate.
I also wonder, you know, he could also leave up the Pluto Delta in case he draws a Brainstorm.
Right.
That's the other thing, too.
Doesn't feel like there's a big rush to get this Jitte into play, but maybe he's worried about discard spells.
You see a Flusterstorm over there in Geary's hand. He's going to play a Pluto Delta, and he's just going to pass the turn back. So the brakes are on. Numza's Jitte will oftentimes do that. Looks like another Tarmogoyf was picked up here from Muller.
All right.
This game's changing.
See, True Name Nemesis is not game over. You just need 2 Tarmogoyfs, and then you're kind of at parity.
Yeah. 2 4/5s. Either going to go equipping, maybe? He's just going to pass the turn back.
Yeah, again, in this spot, I just want to be activating the Deathrite Shaman.
Geary going to sacrifice Pluto Delta. Going to get a land out of his deck. We'll see. Anything to do with that here? Looks like it's going to be Underground Sea, maybe. Could be a Tundra, and it will be. I'll give him 3 sources of white mana, 3 sources of blue, and then 2 sources of black for the Deathblade player. Again, the hand right now for Geary is a whole bunch of lands, just a Flusterstorm. He needs a spell. Looks like he picked up a spell Pierce, not you. Just going to play a Delta.
Still waiting.
Yeah.
Though the spell Pierces and Flusterstorms may give him some amount of protection against the spells that answer True Name Nemesis. So even though those aren't great draws, they aren't necessarily bad for Justin in the long term.
See him check his sideboard just to make sure he knows what's over there. Spell Pierce picked up here for Geary. He's going to equip a Jitte. He's going to attack. And of course, that thing's got to block the one with the Jitte, so looks like 4 damage is going to come across. Go ahead, Tarmogoyfs.
Yeah, see?
Prove me wrong.
You laugh and look. Here they come.
They're not scared. Going to sacrifice Delta again. How do you feel about all this fetch land sacrificing?
The Delta sacrificing feels a little preempted to me for a number of reasons. One, you might draw a Shuffler, and of course you'd rather have the fetch land in play if that happens, if you draw a Brainstorm or something. Secondly, going from 11 to 10 is critical here because he's getting hit in increments of 4 from the Tarmogoyfs, and the Deathrite Shamans are 2 apiece. So 4 plus 4 plus 2 is 10, or 4 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So that divide is significant here. It's not a free point of damage.
Looks like Geary picked up a copy of Stoneforge Mystic. Looks like it may be time to cast that. There that is.
So I imagine we're going to try to stifle this trigger here for Greg.
Seems like a good idea. We're going to probably have a battle over this. There's Spell Pierce. Deathrite Shaman plus a land can help pay for that. And then a Flusterstorm can help push that through. So that's exactly what's going to happen. I think this is important too because Deathrite Shaman's not activating to deal damage this turn. I think that's the big deal. So Spell Pierce will get countered, and then he says that's still on the stack. I would like to Flusterstorm that. So that will take care of that. And now the Stoneforge trigger will resolve, and he gets to go digging.
Not strictly necessary there for Justin to use the Spell Pierce first, as the Stoneforge Mystic, the Stifle, and then the Flusterstorm itself would have meant that Greg had to pay 3 mana, but he may be happy to cash in his Spell Pierce there to save himself 2 points of damage.
And in this racing situation, that may be what ends up mattering here. Batterskull going to go to the grip for Geary. Going to play a land, a Tropical Island, before passing the turn back over to Muller, who has a Spell Pierce in his hand, and that's it at this point.
But if that Batterskull gets on the true name, I mean,
That's it.
We've seen this before.
Yeah. Either we're going to take a draw. Oof. A copy of Submerge. See how that weighs into things now.
Submerge is pretty gutsy to bring in against
I was
Deathblade.
thinking the same thing.
I mean, he's paid off here. He has a Tropical Island. And I suppose worst comes to worst, he could be hard casting it, but
Well, the question is it worth it to Submerge a Stoneforge Mystic at this point? Deny a draw?
yeah, it's tough because if Justin has a land left over in his hand, he just gets to, well, he gets to play the Batterskull, I guess, in either case.
So here's that. Free Submerge. Take a look here.
Oh yeah, you have a forest, my friend.
And I have plenty of islands. So.
I noticed this is there to activate Deathrite Shaman's green ability, but this is happening.
Greedy deck builders. And there that goes, right on top. Here come the Tarmogoyfs again. Got to block the same one. Down. He'll take 4. It's going to go down to 6. Again, we know about the Spell Pierce in the grip. We know what Geary's working with, too. So, draw the Stoneforge. Know about the Batterskull and the Strand.
I'm curious now if Justin even has any lands to go get with that fetch land. That's a big question now. 4 Tundra, 4 Underground Sea. Okay, he should have a land to go get.
I was hoping this would be the Bluff Strand. Those are my favorite ones. Go ahead, Spell Pierce. Did I have a land? Well, that looks like he might. Yeah, show me a land. All right,
So-
sacrifice this, go down to 5.
It looks like Justin's going to just be barely able to hang on here. Going to 5, he can survive the 2 Deathrite Shaman activations. He can block the 2 Tarmogoyfs and then get Batterskull onto the True Day Nemesis, but he's got to fade a big draw from Greg right now.
Yeah, removal spell like Abrupt Decay gets the job done, right?
Yeah, nearly anything.
Yeah.
Any removal spell. Another copy of a card like Submerge, Geary Charm. I mean, a wide number of draws win the game from here.
Well, let's see what it's going to be. The Spell Pierce is not what he was looking for.
That is not it.
Muller going to assess the board now. And he knows he's 1 turn away from that True Day Nemesis picking up a Batterskull. And it becomes very hard to win then. That's for sure.
And then if that Stoneforge Mystic gets replayed, then Justin has Liliana of the Veil insurance. Batterskull going onto the True Day Nemesis means that he has Geary Charm insurance. So Greg's ways to get out from under this diminish quite a bit.
The windows are closing. That is for sure.
And Justin at 3. I mean, he is just barely holding on here.
I'm trying to figure out, can I attack with these Tarmogoyfs? What does that do? Well, I guess I get to kill your Batterskull token, but you get to gain 4 life. And, you know, the living weapon token doesn't even really matter all that much in the grand scheme of things. That's the big issue here.
Yes.
He's going to turn sideways. And you see he says, I'm going to block the one on the GT here, do that there, going to gain my 4 life, going to go up to 7. 7 is pretty comfortable.
Yep. This attack is great for Justin, too. It's essentially a free 4 life because almost certainly what was happening next turn is Batterskull was moving over to the True Name Nemesis anyway.
This is true. Again, Muller just taking a look at that Spell Pierce, wishing it was something else.
Anything else?
Just has to pass the turn back. Geary's going to untap very, very quickly here. Got to imagine he knows he's in the driver's seat. He gets to draw a card. It's a copy of Wasteland. Not a huge draw there. And more importantly, his good friend True Name Nemesis is ready to go.
Yeah, I would open up the action here with the Stoneforge Mystic just to see what's going on with Greg's hand. But almost certainly this ends with Batterskull going on to True Name Nemesis. And
that's what he's going to do. He's going to start with Stoneforge. A pretty quick thumbs up here from Justin. It's time to go digging for equipment. That's going to be a Sword of Feast and Famine. So another equipment here for Geary, and a good one in this matchup. Doesn't really need the help, but if he didn't have True Name Nemesis, it would certainly be quite good.
yes. The most critical thing for Justin to do right now is just make sure that he keeps himself protected from edict effects. That's the one way you could conceive of Greg getting out of this spot.
True Name has a Batterskull equipped to it. In for 7 we go. Geary's going to go up to 14. Mueller's going to go down to 11. Just has to pass the turn back. Going to activate Deathrite Shaman. We'll see if it's going to be a drain or a gain. It looks like it's going to be a drain. Geary's going to go down to 12.
Greg does have a Crosshand Grip in his sideboard too, and that would undo a lot of this damage.
Wasteland does not.
No.
And neither does Spell Pierce. It's a tough way to lose a match when you are basically playing for top 8 here.
Yeah.
1 point of damage away.
A number of things. I mean, if Justin doesn't even have a land, he needs the 7th land to be able to play Batterskull and play it through the Spell Pierce.
Yep.
A lot of things need to go right here for Justin, but Greg's outs are dwindling here. He does, again, have a Crozan Grip that pulls up the Batterskull. That lets him get some breathing space here, but Golgari Charm no longer effective. Liliana the Veil no longer effective.
A lot of outs being closed off.
And, of course, every non-Tombstalker creature does very close to 0.
Just going to pass the turn back over to Geary. Those Tarmogoyfs can't do anything in the face of True Name Nemesis. Going to draw a card. Geary going to rearrange some mana here. Looks like it's time to put in Sword of Feast and Famine through the old Stoneforge. Going to equip the True Name. Like that thing needs any more weapons.
He's got an extra arm left over.
Gonna bash in. Fish have arms? It's a merfolk.
I think it's got arms in the artwork.
I think
Let's
so,
double
too.
check.
In for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points of damage.
It's the art letting you know that you're supposed to put equipment on it.
Ah, yes, yes. That makes sense to me now. So a sword trigger here is going to take place in just a moment.
It's got a knife in its hand.
What's a fish need a knife for?
It's effectively already equipped with Lean and Scimitar.
Ah, yes, yeah. Yeah, it's actually a 2-0, but since it has the scimitar,
Yeah.
that's why it's a 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah, see, it makes sense. It makes sense now. Thank you.
No problem.
So some triggers here, some life gain there. Unfortunately for Greg Muller, I think he's going to get one more draw step this game, as Geary did draw another copy of True Name Nemesis.
And now Crozan Grip doesn't even provide any protection here.
Nope. Oh, Wasteland going to take down the Bayou. Deathrite's going to go active. It's going to do a little bit of draining here. Going to knock Geary down to a cool 19. Let's see if he wants to drop down True Name number 2, and he will. So in what was a very, very close game here when we started, ends very, very one-sided here in favor of Justin Geary. A Ponder will give Muller another look. He's going to see 2 lands and a Ponder.
Yeah, don't get too hung up on this board. This game was real close. Greg was 1 point of damage away, and Justin was 1 mana short away of Greg going on to a 3rd game here. But
Going to Ponder again. Going to shuffle here. Going to essentially on no outs at this point. All the windows we've talked about, they've been closed.
yeah, he had Crozan Grip here for a couple turns to try to restabilize the game, but that's pretty far gone.
Yep. Mystery card coming with a Ponder after Geary does shuffle the deck. And Muller will likely get to see 1 more card this game. Yeah, thumbs up, thumbs down. I think it's a thumbs down. Justin Geary going to win this match over Greg Muller, 2-0. Deathblade, take it down over Bug Delver, 6-1 now.
Trinidad assists, even with all the Lilianas and Golgari charms you have in your sideboard, is still going to be good against you some percentage of the time if your deck is fundamentally about attacking on the ground, and that's what we saw that game.
Yeah, you better have the right answers at the right time, because if you don't, it's lights out.
Yep.
And that's exactly what it was this go-around. So, my friends, we bring it back to the booth.